بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. This is our second session on the book Uddat al-Daa'i wa al-Sa'i by the late Ibn Fahd al-Hilli. We said the book is one of the most important sources on dua in Islam. You cannot find any scholar doing research or writing something on dua and not consulting this book. And the author is a person that is not only very knowledgeable but at very highest level of taqwa and spirituality, to the extent that as I said last week, Allama Tabatabai says that his teacher Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Qadi Tabatabai said that among ulama there are three people that reached perfection in Tawheed. It doesn't mean that others didn't reach, but he confirmed these three. One was Sayyid ibn Tawus, one was Sayyid Bahr al-Ulum, and one Ibn Fahd al-Hilli. So maybe many people have not heard about him, but this doesn't reduce his position. And one of our aims in studying books of ulama of previous generations is to introduce them and their books to this generation and inshallah future generation, so that we realize that there is a continuity in this current of knowledge and wisdom and light from the time of the presence of imams till today. And our ulama made lots of efforts so that this continuity doesn't stop. So we need to know in every century who did great job in leading the community and protecting the boundaries of our aqidah. In the book History of Shia Islam that will be published inshallah soon, we have tried to address this issue particularly from the time of Ghaybat Sughra and Kubra up to this century. Okay, last session we had the introduction to the book, which ended with reference to some hadiths which are the basis of a rule, a fiqhi rule, a qa'idah fiqhi, to understand what is the difference between fiqhi rule and usuli rule and fiqhi mas'ala. You can refer to our course on al-Qawaid al-Fiqhiyah, jurisprudential rules. So these are very general rules, although some of them may apply to a particular section in fiqh and some of them can be applied to different sections of fiqh. قاعدة التسامح في أدلة السنن, which means that if you have received a hadith that says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you do this, if you make this dua, for example, or salat, you will be rewarded. You are not a scholar, you don't have access to scholars, or even scholars don't have very solid ground to issue fatwa, because to issue fatwa even for istihbab needs the same weight of evidence as issuing fatwa for wujub or hurma. So fatwa even if it is for istihbab or karaha, needs the same weight of evidence as ilzam, as taklif, as wajib or haram. Okay, so sometimes faqih also doesn't have that much of evidence, but there is a ground for it, but he's not sure. So according to these hadiths, ulama have developed this rule. Of course, they have lots of discussions about the details, about the extent, etc. But basically, with the niyyah of raja, with the hope that this is what Rasulullah said, you will do it, and inshallah you will get the reward. According to the hadith from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But as I said, this should be something that makes sense and something that is compatible with our frameworks. Not that, someone says something, superstitious and, we just do it. Anyway, this was the introduction. Now, the first section, Al-Babul Awwal. You remember we said there are 6 sections in the book. فَالْحَثَّ عَلَى الدُّعَاء. This part is about encouraging and urging to make dua. Hath means to motivate, to encourage someone to do something. Like targhib, tahreed. And we have references for this from aql and naql. Yab'athu alayh means moves us, pushes us towards these, both reason and naql, transmitted, means Quran and Hadith scriptures. So aql and scriptures both tell us that we should make dua, or we must make dua. What about rational argument? There can be different rational arguments. Maybe someone uses shukr, wujub al-shukr, as we have in the aqaid, why we should, inquire about God. So we normally mention 2 things. One is wujub daf' al-dharar al-muhtamal, and the other one is wujub shukr al-mun'im. Even if there is possibility that maybe there is someone who has blessed us with life, with all these things, we need to look for that person to find. If you see that there is something at your door, a gift, a food, you must see this is just mistake, or for example, wind has brought it, or maybe there is a kind person that you have to find out and be grateful. So those of you that studied we studied together theological instructions or Baba Hadi Ash or Islamic belief system, remember we had this discussion. But now we are making discussion about dua, and it's very similar. But here there is only one argument, and that is about the necessity of stopping or removing likely problems. Daf' or raf'. Daf' means stop it from coming. Raf' means it has already come, to remove it. So sometimes there is calamity that already has come, or something unpleasant. It depends on the degrees. Something you don't want has happened, or sometimes there is a chance that it may happen. In both cases, we need to make dua, because stopping or removing harm which is possible or which has already happened is rationally necessary. Every rational person protect himself or herself from and against things which are harmful. So he says, Ammal aql. So we start with rational argument. Why we should make dua. فلأن دفع الضرر عن النفس مع القدرة عليه والتمكن منه واجب. Aql is telling us to make dua because daf' means not to let it come, to defend against something that might approach us. So stopping harm from yourself, مع القدرة عليه والتمكن منه, when you have power and ability to do so. Sometimes I cannot do something. Taklif aqli, like taklif shar'i, both of them depend on power. Qudra, power, is one of the general conditions of taklif. In usul al-fiqh we have studied this. If you don't have qudra, there is no taklif. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. But if you have a way to stop harm, you must stop it. Aql says daf' dharar, stopping harm from happening to your nafs, yourself, when there is power and ability, is wajib. Wajib aqli. It's a we are not talking about the religion. We are talking about the rational taklif obligation. This is one premise. This is kubra. This is major premise. On the other hand, husul al-dharar dharirul wuqu'. If someone says, yes, I accept that daf' al-zarar is wajib, but there is no zarar, we say, how can you say there is no zarar? This is badihi. Daruri al-wuqu' means it's badihi, means it's self-evident. It's obvious that for every human being in this dunya, harm happens, bad things happen. إذ كل إنسان لا ينفك عما يشوش نفسه ويشغل عقله ويضر به. There is no human being unless he is faced with something that disturbs him or concerns his aql. Although yashghalam is engage and make it busy, but I think concern is a better translation here. And harms, not just, engage you in a positive way. This is why I say concern. So there are things that you are all worried about. There are things that, you are very concerned that they may happen. Imma min dakhil, sometimes it's internal, sometimes it's external. Internal, like what? Like something may happen and make you ill. كحصول عارض يغشي مزاجه, something that happened and affects your disposition, your health, for example. Mizaj means disposition, but it has a special meaning in a medical sense, in traditional medicine. أو من خارج, sometimes external. I'm not suffering, worried about something that may happen to my body or soul internally. No, it can be from external sources. For example, كأذية ظالم or أذية ظالم. A ظالم annoy me. أو مكروه يناله من خليط أو جار. Sometimes there is makruh, something not pleasant, something disliked that can reach me from a khalid, a friend, someone that I mix with, or a neighbor, jar. It's possible. Friend is not zalim in the sense that it's a powerful tyrant person, for example, or employer who is zalim, etc. Can be another person like me, but still he can harm me, or a neighbor can harm me. وَلَوْ خَلَى مِنَ الْكُلِّ بِالْفِعْلِ. Even if we say, perhaps, actually right now, there is none of such things. Alhamdulillah, my health is okay, my mental health is okay, my spiritual condition is okay. There is no zalim to hurt me, there is no makruh coming from friend or neighbor. Okay, maybe right now you don't have any of these problems. فَالْعَقْلُ يُجَوِّزُ وُقُوعَهُ فِيهَا وَاعْتِلَاقَهُ بِهَا. But aql says it's possible. Jaiz here means possible. Because in an intellectual and philosophical discourse, jawaz means possibility. So aql says it's possible that this may happen and can come and belong to you, hang on you. So even if you don't have any problem, you may have in future, not knowing what is waiting for you. كيف لا? How this is not the case? How this cannot be the case? If someone says, no, I don't have any problem and no problem is going to happen to me. He says, how? وهو في دار الحوادث التي لا تستقر على حال. We are in this world which is the dar, which is the abode of hawadis, accidents and incidents, which are very changeable. There is no istiqrar, there is no fixed situation. Bad things can go and good things can come, good things can go and bad things can come, bad things can finish and worse things can happen, or worse things can happen and less worse can. All these tanaqqulatul atfar, as we have in Daa'i Arafah, changes of conditions are happening. فَفَجَائِعُهَا لَا يَنْفَكُّ عَنْهَا آدَمِيٌّ. The catastrophes and problems of this dar, of this world, don't leave us alone. They are not separated from us. إِمَّا بِالْفِعْلِ or بِالْقُوَّةِ, maybe actually or potentially. فَضَرَرُهَا إِمَّا حَاصِلٌ وَاقِعٌ أَوْ مُتَوَقَّعُ الْحُصُولِ. So the harm of this hawadis or this dunya is either already there or it's expected to happen. And in both cases, كلاهما يجب إزالته مع القدرة عليه. Rationally, it's necessary. It's a kind of taklif, but aqlan. That if you have power, you must stop it. You must do izala, remove it. وَالدُّعَاءُ مُحَسِّلٌ لِذَلِكَ. Dua is something that helps with protection. And dua is possible. No one can say, I cannot make dua. You don't need a special, equipments or place or training. Any person can make dua. It's something available to everyone. Of course, those who are better, trained, better practiced, better, developed in knowledge, etc., they can make better dua. But everyone can do at least some dua. فَيَجِبُ الْمَصِيرُ إِلَيْهِ. Therefore, it's necessary to go towards this dua. It's aqlan. وقد نبه أمير المؤمنين وسيد الوصيين صلوات الله عليه وآله على هذا المعنى. We are quoting now something from Amir al-Mu'minin, not as a hadith. We are inshallah talking about hadith later. This rational point is also mentioned in this hadith. Sometimes Quran or hadith involve a rational argument. So the argument is rational, even if it is mentioned in the Quran. Like for example, Allah says in the Quran, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. This is Quran, but it's a rational argument that Allah makes in the Quran. So even if someone doesn't believe in the Quran, can think about this ayah and accept it. Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam has nabbaha, has notified us about this point, this meaning, this idea. When he said, Ma min ahadin ibtuliya. When you do vas, it becomes like this. وَإِنْ عَظُمَتْ بَلْوَاهُ بأحق بالدعاء من المعافى الذي لا يأمن من البلاء. In the footnote, what is actually in Nahjul Balagha, Sermon 294, is mentioned. The wording is a little different, but it's the same meaning. ما المبتلى الذي اشتد به البلاء بأحوج إلى الدعاء من المعافى الذي لا يأمن البلاء. So Ibn Fahd either had access to other sources and from there quoted this, because Sayyid al-Razi also is using other sources, because Sayyid al-Razi himself didn't hear this directly from Amirun. He used Kutub Hadith, the books of Hadith. Or maybe different versions of Nahjul Balagha, but this same idea. Basically, Amirul Mu'minin says something very, very beautiful and very true and very rational. He says, someone who is already suffering from calamities, already problems have happened, have befallen him, is not in greater need for dua than someone who is mu'afa, someone who has no problem or is safe from problem. So, I am ill or I am healthy. In both cases, I need dua. It's not that if I am ill, I need dua. If I am healthy, I don't need dua or I need less dua. No. In both cases, you need dua. Whether it's for daf'ul bala or raf'ul bala. Daf is not to come, to protect against coming. Raf is to remove. We need dua. So, you are either in the condition of being mubtala or you are mu'afa, you are exempted, you have afiyah. In both cases, you need to make dua. قد ظهر من هذا الحديث احتياج كل أحد إلى الدعاء. From this hadith, it becomes clear, as I said, it's a rational point, that everyone needs dua. Mu'afan wa mubtalan. Whether he is mu'afa, mu'af means he's exempted, he has afiyah. You know, we say afakumullah, it's from the same bab. Wa mubtalan, or if he is suffering from problems. Wa fa'idatuhu, the benefit of dua is raf'ul bala'il hasil wa daf'u su'in nazil. Either there is a bala which has happened, is hasil, and you want to remove it, or there is something bad that may descend, may come, may happen, and you want to stop it. And nazil means has not yet come. It's going to come, you can stop it. Inshallah, in hadith we have it very clearly that even if something is muqaddar, can change. Even qadha can change. Of course, I will explain what kind of qadha. Or very similar to protection against harm or removal of the harm can also be for bringing good to you, goodness to yourself, benefiting yourself. أو جلب نفع مقصود. There is a benefit that is wanted and you want to draw it to yourself. For example, you want knowledge, you want hikmah, you want light, you want good halal tayyib rizq, you want to have good children, etc. أو تغيير khayran mawjood, or there is a khair which is mawjood already, it's existing, you want to keep it. Taqreer to means to let it remain. Qarar means to be, and taqreer means to make it stay. وَدَوَامُهُ وَمَنْعُهُ مِنَ الزَّوَالِ, you want it to continue and not expire. لأنهم عليهم السلام وصفوه بكونه سلاحا. Imams alayhi salam have said dua is weapon. Even if you don't believe in, for example, Imams, or you have doubt about Imams have said this as a possibility, you have to try it. It's a rational argument. If there is a kind of illness that is going to kill you, you are going to die, and there are millions of people who say, this is the medicine, Aql says you have to try it. So, as-silah, when we say dua is silahul mu'min, weapon of the believer, sometimes is to bring benefits, sometimes is to protect from harm. For example, sometimes you use this salah maybe for hunting. Sometimes is against enemies, to protect you against their attacks. Mimma yustajlabu bihi naf, or yujlabu means something by which you bring naf, benefit to yourself, or yustadfa'u bihi zar, you want to stop harm. وَسَمَّوْهُ أَيْزًا تُرْسًا وَتُرْسُ جُنَّةٌ يُتَوَقَّى بِهَا مِنَ الْمَكَارِهِ. Sometimes they call it torse, like shield. And this is something that you protect. وَقَى, وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, وَقَى يَقِي. Qina is from waqa yaqi, and then bab tafa'ul, tawaqi means to stop, to protect. From makareh. Makareh is plural for makruh. So from the things which are not liked. So it's dua, is salah, and is shield. Weapon and shield. Still we are explaining the rational argument, but we are using hadith. Later we have discussion about Quran and Hadith again. But it's amazing that these Hadiths have intellectual significance as well. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله ألا أدلكم على سلاح ينجيكم من أعدائكم ويدرأ or yudirru arzaqakum. Here it says yadra'u, but it must be yudirru. Adarra, yudirru, like in the Quran we have midraran. Yursal as-samaa alaykum midraran. Yudri'u arzaqakum. Rasulullah said, shall I guide you to something, inform you about something which is weapon? So shall I tell you about a weapon, or guide you to a weapon that saves you from your enemies and make your rizq come in abundance and continuously? This is something that Rasulullah can tell us, because maybe we don't understand that how much dua has power. So when we have enemies, it's not only weapon of mujahideen that helps, of course that is needed, but also we need dua, which is weapon of all of us. Even mujahid has to make dua. So we can help with dua. And also causes your rizq to pour down. قالوا بلا ya Rasulullah. Yes, please, Messenger of God, please inform us. قال تدعون ربكم بالليل والنهار. Pray to your Lord, call your Lord day and night, or night and day if you want to use the same order, because Islamically night is more important than day, or the beginning of every day is with sunset. Yeah. So when does Friday start? When Thursday sun sets. So night is before day, layl is before nahar. فَإِنَّ سِلَاحَ الْمُؤْمِنِ الدُّعَى. The weapon of mu'min is dua, which is between three elements. Silahul mu'min as dua. You, your enemy, or what you want to achieve, if it is for gaining a benefit, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You bring Allah to assist you, to protect you. This is dua, and inshallah we'll talk more about the power of dua. وقال أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام الدعاء ترس المؤمن ومتى تكثر قرع الباب يفتح لك. Dua is a shield for mu'min, and when you repeat knocking the door, it will be opened for you. Don't try just once or twice. Knock the door. If there is no response, again. If there is no response, wait. Try day. Maybe sometime the day the person is not there. Sometime maybe in the night you can find. Maybe in the night he's not there. The day. Anyone that you want to visit, keep knocking the door. Wait by there. 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month. Finally he comes back to his home and will open the door for you. Even if this person, if is not interested in meeting you in particular, or people in general, because he's very, much busy, etc. Finally, if someone is always keeping knocking the door, he will say, okay, what do you want? In the case of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to meet us, but sometimes maybe our condition is not good, and we need to wait and purify ourselves to get something sorted out, or maybe time is needed because you are asking for something. For example, you are asking for a snow. Okay, you have to wait for winter. Yeah, you cannot ask for a snow in summer. You have to wait. So some of our hajat is like asking for a snow in summer. So you have to wait. وقال الصادق عليه السلام الدعاء أنفذ من السنان الحديد. Dua is more penetrating than a metal, for example, sword or spear, something which is very sharp from iron or steel. Dua can penetrate more than this. Imam Kadhim alayhi salam said, إن الدعاء يرد ما قدر وما لم يقدر. Dua can send away what has been made muqaddar or not. Muqaddar literally means measured, but in the discussion about qada and qadar, we have talked about taqdeer. What is taqdeer? Taqdeer ilmi, taqdeer aini. In aqaid we discussed, and also we had a course on qada and qadar. 3-4 lectures, you can inshallah find it on my channel, all about qada and qadar. So something which is muqaddar or not muqaddar. قال قلت وما قد قدر فقد عرفته. I understand that if something is muqaddar, if something is, say for the time being, is planned to happen, all the measurements, all the taqdirat, planning has happened that this should happen. But what do you mean if something is not muqaddar? قال حتى لا يكون. You make dua that it doesn't become muqaddar. If it is muqaddar, can change, be cancelled. If it is not muqaddar, you make dua so that it doesn't happen. Maybe right now there is no reason for you to, for example, die. Yeah? But there is ajal mu'allaq. Maybe something can happen by you or others that make you die sooner than your fixed ajal. So you can make dua so that that doesn't happen. Sometime maybe there is a possibility of an enemy attacking you or a thief, coming to your house. It's not yet decided, but it can be happening. So you make dua so that it doesn't become muqaddar. Then this continues, and there is a discussion about qadha. I think we stop here, and inshallah in the next week we continue, and I will explain something about decisive qadha or qadha which is not decisive. What does it mean if qadha is not decisive? Why it is called then qadha? Inshallah we'll talk about it in the next session bi'iznillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Is there any question, any comment?
No, thank you, Sheikh.
Allah bless you, inshallah.
Jazakallah.
Thank you, Ahsan.
You can do dua, Sheikh.
You are most welcome. Thank you. Is this...
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum
I'd put a question in the chat, but maybe it hasn't been noticed.
Okay, sorry. I didn't notice.
I'm sorry.
If the making dua for others, if the person you are making dua for, neighbors, friends, child, spouse, doesn't do anything themselves to improve, or na'udhu billah, they don't have iman, does it work? Yeah. When you make dua for someone, if that person doesn't have a still ability for free actions, for example, you make dua for a child, this dua is more likely to be effective. For example, for your child or other people's children, because children still have not yet reached the age of making responsible and free choices. I mean, something for which they are responsible. So, your dua is without obstacle or without something that can be in conflict with. But when I make dua for a mature adult person who has freedom, my dua is working, is not useless. But if that person doesn't cooperate or does something in conflict with my dua, the chances that my dua can have effect becomes less, but not zero. So suppose, for example, I have a person, a neighbor, for example, that is not good person, is hurting people. And I have a person who is a very nice person. If I make dua for the one who is very nice, this dua has greater chance because it's much easier, and that person is cooperating. But if I make dua for someone who's a vicious person, still it's not useless. But your dua must be so sincere and so powerful that maybe Allah, because of your dua, softens the heart of that person and makes that person transform so that he would do it in the way that you prayed for. Because Allah doesn't force, doesn't take away their free will. Yeah? But your dua can make the person's heart softer. So this is why we make dua even for kuffar to be guided. Rasulullah said, as you know, and we have reflected on this many times in the battle of Uhud, Allahumma hdi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Oh Allah, please guide my nation, my people, they don't know. These are kuffar, these are pagans who have come to kill, and they have already, some of them killed Hamza, other martyrs. So for sure they don't do anything right now to help with this dua. Sometimes a mu'min, ask an alim, for example, please pray for my guidance. This is very much in line with that person's life. But even with kuffar and pagans, like pagans of Mecca, still this dua can be powerful. Why? Because Allah can change the condition of the person in the way that he voluntarily tries to become a good person. It's not that Allah, because of the prayer of Rasulullah, makes all of a sudden kafir mu'min by force. No. But Allah may, because of this dua, help that person to wake up, to remember, to revive his heart. So we should not miss the chance of making dua, even for bad people, even for people who hurt us. And you should not curse them, because if you curse them, for example, you have a neighbor that annoys you. Okay, if you curse that neighbor, you think then he becomes a better person? Yeah? Or if you make dua, he may become a better person, maybe he is stubborn, he doesn't want to change. But there is a chance, and at least if you make dua for that person to be guided or to be better, Allah loves this. Because Allah wants all people to improve. But if you curse him, you get angry and curse him, there is a chance that this curse can also come to you. There is a chance that that curse can, make that person even worse, and then he annoys you more. Okay? So, I'm not against the whole concept of land, but I'm saying that we have to be very careful. And normally we have land for the people that in Allah's knowledge, in Rasulullah's and Ahlul Bayt's knowledge, there is no chance of their return. Otherwise, Rasulullah, even for Mushrikeen of Mecca, prayed for their guidance. Actually, this hadith, Allahumma hdi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun, was said when they said to Rasulullah, law da'awta alayhim, Ya Rasulullah, we wish you prayed against them. It means curse them. Rasulullah said, Allah has not sent me to do la'an. La'an. Ma bu'istu. Has not sent me and raised me to be la'an, to keep cursing people. Then he prayed for their guidance. So if you have a child who annoys you, if you have a neighbor, colleague, someone who annoys you, pray for their guidance, pray for their improvement. And this also helps yourself, psychologically, helps a lot when you pray for people who annoy you, gives you a kind of elevated position. You are most welcome. So let us end with Dua Faraj. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا وامن علينا برضاه وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره. O Allah, please send the best of your salutations to the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, and please protect us from doing or saying or even intending anything which is against your reza, against your pleasure. Please give us all tawfiq to always work for your reza, and please be pleased also with our parents, our foreparents, our teachers, our brothers and sisters, and every person whose concern in this world was to worship you, to serve you, and to bring light to themselves. Please protect all mu'mineen and mu'minat, all the innocent people everywhere in the world, especially our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Yemen. And please strengthen and support and fasten the hearts of mujahideen in every place, in every corner, especially those who are in every moment, in every second, happy to die for you and offer their lives for you. Please give them success in dunya and nearness to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam in akhirah. And please make their enemies taste the bitterness of defeat in dunya before they taste the pain of your punishment, inshallah. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. بحق محمد وآل الطاهرين. Thank you very much. التماس دعاء please. التماس. May Allah bless you. التماس. في أمان الله.